Hey guys, this is Makov. I'm going to be giving you a very quick, and when I say very quick, tutorial on Mission 7. This is for no major glitches, nightmare difficulty. So no major glitches, so you can't run silently, you can't bevel or go out of bounds, you can't launch through the ceiling, you can't peek through walls. You actually have to play the game as intended. Abusing game mechanics and having a game sense and all of that. That being said, disclaimers up front, sometimes the RNG is going to give you a losing combination. However, if you follow this, you're going to get through it 85-90% of the time. We're not going to cover an exhaustive list entirely because there are so many different variables and permutations of what Mission 7 can give you in this category that it'll be a 15-hour long video trying to get through all of them, and even then there's probably going to be some combination that we fail to do so. So this is more like an overview of what to do. There's a handful of things that you absolutely have to do every single time, and then it really is a matter of pay attention to what you hear and what Steve does and sort of respond appropriately. So when you first start off, you come out of an elevator, you immediately pop a flare, run to the vent so it starts opening, turn around and throw it right back into the elevator that you came from. It doesn't matter where. By the time you throw it, the vent is open, so go through. You're going to check to the left. That's the first loot spot that you might get. I turn the light on here just so that you can see, but I normally do not turn the light on because the light can attract the alien. To the right is another loot spot that was not to be in this particular one. And right there is another loot spot also that was not to be in this particular example. You fire. Okay, you'll notice that I turned the light off before I fired the gun, and the reason being is the light attracts the alien. So you fire the gun, it's going to make Steve drop. He's going to drop, and by the time he gains agency, we're out of view of him, and we're crouching, so we're sneaking. So he doesn't see us, and then since we threw a flare, he's going to go investigate the flare. That is, if he is keeping to the script. So this gives us plenty of time to go all the way down here. You saw the ethanol, which was the fourth loot spot, and the fifth loot spot is on the right platform to the right of the hole that we're going to drop down. So you peek cancel, and that absorbs your fall animation, and you get caught into a mini cutscene where the camera grabs your attention and focuses you to pay attention to the compression cylinder, and you're automatically crouched. So what you do is you manually uncrouch and then aim your gun, and that gives you agency of Ripley again. So from here, you're going to get one of two patterns. You're going to get the pattern on the left, which is, they're about 50-50, but basically in that one, you have to sneak past the guy at the gurney. And on the right, you can just run all the way around to the right. The right pattern naturally is quite a bit more fast. So focusing on the left one, you can sprint burst until you get to this line right here. Then you have to crouch and crouch hop until you get to the blue plastic circle platform that I'm on, and then you can just run. Note, if you touch any of those people or interact with them, they go hostile and they kill you, and there's nothing you can do about it. So, if you pay attention to the floor here, continuing on, you'll see that there is a square, then a rectangle, then a square on the floor in front of you. The square that is the second furthest from you, we're going to fire a bullet into the wall in about the center of that. And you're going to do it in about the same place, aim for the same place every single time for consistency. That is going to be what attracts the human. So the way that this trick works is a human hears you fire that and goes to investigate, and then you save and load. And when you save and load, what it does is it basically forces everything to kind of reset and go to where the computer believes they're supposed to be now. So you upgrade your access tuner. You always loot this body because there's sometimes stun baton on them, and that's a very rare thing that you want. You're going to stop right here, or not stop, but stop running and then check the scanner. You don't see anything. You pull out the scanner again. You can walk to this location. Now, in this particular case, the human that we wanted is dead at the feet of Steve, who sees us and is going to come running, so we're going to go ahead and load. This is just an example of one of the situations where you're just going to want to load. You did everything right, and the RNG just simply wasn't there. So we reloaded, upgrade the tuner, loot this guy again, turn around and run to this one spot again, then pull out the scanner. We don't see anything. So if we aim to the right, we see that there is a living human, or maybe Steve, approaching. So we peek around, we see that it's a person. We're going to wait for him to get to the door, and we're going to start, we're basically going to stealth up to him. Wait for the door to start moving before you hit him. If you do not wait for the door to move, you failed the strat, and the door will stay locked. So in this particular case, yeah, just showing off what to grab. So another example would be, you stop here, you look, and if you look, you'll notice that there is a .81 in the bottom left corner, and there's also kind of a cupped indicator of where sound is coming from to the left. That means that Steve is in this room with us right now. So you immediately start crouch hopping. If you crouch hop for about 50 feet, he loses track of you. And if you look over here, you'll notice that there's a human. So the human naturally was not killed by Steve because Steve is in the room. 2 whacks, and then we're going to run on in. So just kind of a fun thing. You can actually see how low I'm clicking on that. Last example. Listen here. So you hear that loud hiss, you run out. Shoot that explosive, I want to call it a barrel, but it's more like a cylinder or canister. And then you head on in. So you aim really low, grab the injector, click again. In this particular example, I'm going to whack the wall several times. And the reason is because you want Steve to be in this room or on his way attracted to this room while you're doing this in order for the timing for this to work, because you're never going to stop moving. If you have to wait, you're probably going to die. In this category, using these particular strats anyway. So, if Steve is in the other room, you whack the wall. If you had to blow him up, you whack the wall. Or you whack something in this room, just to attract him back into this room. Otherwise, the last thing you want is to do everything in this room and then run out into the hallway, and Steve's waiting for you in the hallway, and that's where the run ends. So, to the left on the floor is an electrified floor. If you walk over that, you die, and Steve can't cross it. We had to lower that platform to get to where we are now so that we can run around it. And once we flip the final switch at the far end, the electrified floor gets turned off, and now Steve has the full run of the place, and we have full run of the place. So, whether you whack the wall or not, this part is the same. You're going to pop a flare, and you want to get the blasting caps, this one, and there's one on the way out. You're going to run over here, you press this button, again, you press this button, and the electrified floor is no more. You grab the cylinder, and you head on out. You grab the blasting cap there, you turn around, and you aim for approximately the rightmost square on the wall, and you throw, and then you just walk. Another example, if you don't have a flare, because loot is scarce in this category, you can run around after you get the cylinder, stand right here, and flare. So you grab the flare, immediately pop it there. So every now and then, you pop the flare, you're on your way out, and you hear a hiss. It's very difficult to hear over the sound of the flare in your hand, but you can hear it. It's an additional hiss, and if you look over, you'll see the door is opening and Steve is coming out. So what you do is you go to the left and you go back under these boxes. Steve cannot reach you in these boxes. This is the safest spot in all of Sevastopol, didn't you know? So what you do is you turn on your light. The light tells Steve where you are, and then he realizes he can't reach you. I'm actually just kind of hanging out here a little longer than necessary, but if you walk out, you'll notice that he's kind of like, depressed and dejected, slowly walking back into the into the vent. And then, of course, you go back to doing exactly what you were going to do before, which is throw the vent at one of those squares. And then continue to proceed out. When you get to the end of the hallway, bank a hard right and duck. The two humans will see the flare through the wall and stay ducked. Stay ducked all the way around this hallway. Can't stress that enough. About a third of the runs that you should have succeeded, you will lose because you stand up too fast right here and Steve sees you. So what I was doing there is all I was doing was I was looking at the distance to see that all targets got maximum distance away from me before I can then run all the way down the hallway to the end. So this is another example. We're going to duck, we're going to lean, they're going to run right past us, and we're going to stay ducked. And in this particular case, there's Steve venting. So if Steve in this example vented a little bit later and we walked around the corner, or maybe we just walked around the corner because you move faster when you're walking, he would have seen us. And rather than venting and it being a straight shot to the end, he's going to run up and kill us, and we don't have any tools to deal with the alien at this stage in the game unless you made a pipe bomb, and now you lost your pipe bomb that you were going to use in Mission 10, so the run is basically over. So you just keep crouched, you give him a few seconds, you make sure that he's going for the flare, you can walk straight across. I'm actually aiming the scanner in his general direction, but you don't have to do that. All you need to do is pay attention to the distance. And once the distance becomes a max distance, then you're good to go. In this example, the humans don't come, and instead you hear gunshots. And if you look around the corner, Steve is there. So now we're going to listen. And he vented. That is the audio cue of him venting. So we know we killed one. We saw him kill one. That was Jeremy on the floor. And on the floor there is the last one. So all three of them are dead. To the left there, sometimes one of the humans will run off and hide, but Steve got him this particular time. So then you can run all the way. Once Steve has reached his maximum distance, he no longer hears you, he's investigating the flare, he's absorbed for the next 30-40 seconds, and it's basically free. However, I came here to illustrate, if you're standing under this vent and Steve is in the vent above you, he cannot drop down on you. If he is here trying to drop down and you're here, he registers this as being a blocked vent, and he goes all the way down the hallway as far as the eye can see, and he drops there. So all you need to do is hang out here for a couple seconds, turn around, and there you go. That is the hard part of a Fast Mission 7. You get to the top, straight down the way, straight shot, ignore everything. Ignore the people, ignore the alien that's about to pop out that they're about to shoot at. Climb the ladder. There's a couple of pieces of loot on the table. Grab them, but don't allow yourself to slow down to do so. Get all the way to the end. Hit the button, and you're done with the mission. That's it. That's Fast 7. So we're going to take it again in one fell swoop, and I'm not going to pause at all. You pop the flare, you throw it back into the elevator. You check the loot areas. Again, this is Nightmare, and in Nightmare, there's next to no loot anywhere, so you check every possible loot area that you interact with, without going out of your way, without losing any time. Fire the gun. I immediately start, reloading. You hear the thud. Grab the ethanol. Steve is now investigating the flare. Or at least, he's occupied with something. Go around the corner, go around the other corner, check the last loot spot, which there's nothing there. You peek, cancel to absorb the animation, stand up, aim, and in this case, I'm just going to do a couple of sprint bursts, and then I'm going to duck. Then when you get onto the blue, you can go ahead and run, turn on the light, shine that bad boy on the tractor, and then the door, you can turn it off. Fire in the center square, right there. Head to the left. Save and load. Immediately save load. Again, you can move when the lights are still coming on, or when the darkness is fading. I kind of overshoot there, because my Windows 10 has been messing with my mouse sensitivity, so I'm all over the place. But anyway, you always loot him, you run to the same spot every time, and then you pull out your scanner. And I see he's to the left of me, so I'm going to start crouch hopping. And I'm going to aim it also to the right to make sure there's a person approaching, and there is. So I'm going to go ahead and heal here because it's a good habit to get into. Because in Mission 8, for the strat that I use, you need to tank a bunch of hits. You wait for the door to open, you didn't hear a hiss, so you're clear to go. Now because Steve was in the other room, I'm just going to whack this thing 3 times. Pop a flare. And again, if you don't have one, there is one in this room. Grab the blasting cap. Lower the platform. Grab the cylinder. Grab this blasting cap. Go to this particular spot. And I actually dawdle here a little bit. You can actually throw it way faster than that. I recorded this, all of these runs with the intention of being example runs, so I kind of am intentionally slow and deliberate in how I do things. You can get away with a hell of a lot more than I'm doing, and you can push it harder. You stay ducked, and then you pull out your scanner, just walk in a straight line. You don't need to be looking at it. That actually slows you down, which is what I was doing before. Just wait till you get to the maximum range, and go. If, while you're looking at your scanner, he doesn't ever get to maximum range, walk 3/4 of the way down this hallway, and then at the very end, sprint up and save instead of using the cylinder. And then save and load. And what a save and load does is it forces Steve to vent, and that makes you able to turn in the cylinder for free. So that's just kind of like a safety thing where you're walking down the hallway, you look at the scanner and it looks like Steve is just approaching. Don't risk it by going for the cylinder. Just run up to the save instead. And then, yeah, from there, just beeline it to the end. And that's it. That is, again, that is not an exhaustive list. But that's going to get you through 85% of all of your Mission 7s. So you listen for the hiss when you kill the gentleman who opens the door. If you hear the hiss, you shoot the canister in the hallway, you whack something. If you don't hear the hiss, but he was in the other room, meaning you had to crouch hop up before you killed the gentleman who opened the door, you also hit something. Otherwise, you can just run, grab the canister, and then you pay attention. Does Steve approach you in the warehouse or not? If he doesn't, you just throw the flare, you exit, you walk, life is good. If he does, you go underneath the boxes, you shine your light, you wait for him, he makes like a sigh sound, and then you can just get out, leave. You can actually run at that point, and because he's no longer an active alien. He's kind of a deactive alien, if you will, and he will just kind of saunter to a vent before he resets himself, and you can just run up to the normal spot, throw the flare, which will attract the humans, and then walk your way out. And then remember, when you walk around the corner, duck after the humans run past. Stay ducked when you walk around, just in case Steve is in the middle of upventing, and then it's a matter of pulling out your tracker and just paying attention to Steve, paying attention to the humans. Are the humans... Did 2 humans pass, or did 1 human pass? Are you hearing gunshots, etc., etc.? And from there, if you ever get maximum distance, run, use the cylinder directly. If you don't get max distance, save, reload, and then use the cylinder, and you should be good to go. But I hope that helped out a lot. I'm just making a resource that I really wish existed when I started running, because it took me a long time to kind of piece all this together. Yeah. If you guys liked it, give it a thumbs up, give it a subscription. I plan on doing a whole bunch of these little tutorials as time goes on. And yeah, if you guys want to pick up the run, we're always welcoming of new runners, and hope to watch you soon.